Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast. We really have a huge show coming up. We're going to get right into it because we got a lot of stuff going on that we need to talk about. We brought in Suns fan Randy to talk about Sarver. We got AZ Sports Guy to talk about the Coyotes. Jay Nes going to stop by to talk about Arizona State. Jonathan Mathis to preview the Cardinals and Rams. We got a lot of stuff. He's on Fire podcast. Stay tuned.
Urkavici sets. Looks up. And it is caught! Down strong! Blitz coming, Matthews. Palmer extending the play. Nobody there. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. There he scores. It's over. It's insane to the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down! He puts it down! They're getting a little wobbly. But it's downfield. Just IU. A foot race. They won't get it.
As I said, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Everything with the Sarver investigation, and now the selling of the franchise. Herm Edwards getting fired. I can't wait to hear about the Coyotes' experience playing in the ASU hockey arena. And we're going to preview them a little bit. And then, of course, we're going to get into Cardinals Week 3 action. Oh, man. Suns fan Randy, it is good to have you back. Welcome back to the pod. It's been a while. We've missed you. What's been going on? How you been doing?
Oh man, just been chilling, taking it easy. It's really slow for the Suns right now, but we got a lot to get into, a lot to talk about the Suns. I've been watching though. I've been watching, just checking my phone, seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, which hasn't been much. Jay, I want to start with you first. Yesterday, about 10:30, 11 o'clock my time, I think it was about maybe 11 o'clock my time, news came down from Shams breaking the tweet. Robert Sarver's beginning all the stages to sell the franchise. My first initial thought was, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But then the NBA and Adam Silver came out with something a little bit later saying we think it's the right direction to go, which is bullshit, Adam Silver. If it was the right direction to go, you would have done something about it, but you don't give a damn about the people in your workplace. But when the NBA comes out and says something like that at the top, that way you know this is probably 99.99% going to happen. And then Sarver put out a BS remark we'll get into. But Jay, when that tweet first popped up, when you saw it, you were working or driving or whatever you were doing, what was your initial thought?
It's kind of like when I was too young for when this happened, but like Evan, you probably remember where you were when like Michael Jackson died or like 9/11 happened. You know, you're in the exact you remember the exact place you were at, what you were doing, and all that stuff. And
Right?
I feel like I'll remember this Robert Sarver thing forever. So yeah, when I got the tweet that officially Robert Sarver was going to be putting the team up for sale along with the Mercury, I was stoked. I was excited not only for the fans but the people of Phoenix, and most importantly, all the victims he took advantage of and abused, and whatever the word that fits the description for you, offended. And now we can start the process of not necessarily rebranding but reestablishing a more work appropriate culture that we haven't had in over uh like the better part of a decade. So this is going to be great for the city of Phoenix and the Suns going forward. A lot of people wanted all the players to come out, but I feel like the most important players in the league came out and addressed what needed to be said, like LeBron and Chris Paul, and those guys are, the vets in our league, and their voices are stronger than anybody else's. So I think those two guys' words meant a lot and really pushed the envelope, especially when PayPal put out their statement and started playing with the money. Everybody was applying pressure on Robert Sarver. I think even some NBA owners might have been doing that behind the scenes, and especially with other sponsorships and all
They
quietly.
had to have been.
Yeah, they had to have been. And so for this to happen, it's great, but at the same time, on the flip side, a lot of people had to suffer under his rule. And it's not just the fans. Of course, we went through bad years of basketball, but it's we're removing like a piece of shit. So now we can start a new chapter. One of the highlight moments in Phoenix Suns history, and we can potentially be in the top 5 of most richest franchises.
We'll get into that. We'll get into
Yeah.
that. Randy, been a while since we heard from you, and I have quite a few questions I really want to get into. So we'll try to speed this up as much as we can for everybody. But what was your initial reaction after everything that came? Well, we haven't talked. What was your initial reaction when ESPN came out and the NBA said, "Hey, he's only going to be fined for $10 million and suspended a year"? What was your thought back then?
My initial thought when that happened, I was like, well, it's just kind of like, it just let me know like where it was, like in the sense of like the money moves, you know what I'm saying? Money talks and stuff like that. So I didn't really expect him to sell the team like he did now, but I am relieved and overjoyed that he did it. And I'll dive into that a little bit deeper later on. But my initial thought, I was just like, I wasn't surprised. Like everybody kind of jumped out like, oh, like he only got suspended for a year and only 10 million. I was like, but I wasn't surprised at all. Like my initial thing, I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the tweet comes out just yesterday. What were you thinking then? We had a little message going back and forth, just a couple of us chatting, but what did you think? Were you shocked, stunned?
No. Actually, I was happy, obviously, like everybody else, and I feel like all the Phoenix Suns fans, especially if you've been through the ups and the downs, and you've been through, and you know, like the kind of person Robert Sarver is. I was happy. I was like, okay, cool. We finally get rid of him. The ownership, like he's always been super cheap or whatever the case may be, and just a bad person overall. But then it was met by a lot of anger and disappointment in the NBA because, like, realistically, like if the Suns never got good or if the Suns were never like this premier team like we became, ain't no telling what the fuck could have happened. Like how long this could have went on. And that was the part that made me angry about the
Fair.
whole situation because it's like, and I was disappointed in the NBA because I refuse to believe that this year or this situation is the first time somebody reported what he was doing to the NBA. You see what I'm saying? Like I refuse to believe he's been doing this since 2004. So I refuse to believe that nobody has said anything to the NBA or to the commissioner or wrote any type of anything in writing to the NBA and it just like went out the window. And I was upset because I was like, it was shits and giggles when we sucked and we was only winning 14, 15 games a year and we was on ESPN as the laughing stock of the league and the Sons of Anarchy and you know what I'm saying? What I forgot what was the old lady name that got on she went in front
Greta?
of the
Greta
people.
Thurn? No.
Greta, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot it was Greta or something. It was the Sons of Anarchy and whatever. And I was like, it was shits and giggles then. It was funny then. But now, like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? We're good. And now, like, all these other people are realizing who he is, you know what I'm saying? Or like the type of person he is now. It's like, all right, like, now we need to take action. So that was a part of it. But like I said, I felt it was a double edge because I was like, I'm just glad that it's happening. Like, now that we're here. So it's just like, I'm just more happy that it's happening. And, you know what I'm saying? I know change is slow and stuff like that. So I was just like, it is what it is. But like I said, I was more disappointed in NBA, but then it made me realize, like, I wonder what other franchises are going through this in the sense of, like, yes, we just got good. So that's the reason why, you know what I'm saying, a lot of this stuff is coming to the light. But, like, what's going on? Like, ain't no telling what's going on in, like, Sacramento or, like, where was some other bad teams, like Pistons or, like, some of these other, like, lower market teams that are, you know what I'm saying, bad or been bad for a really long time. Like, ain't no telling what the fuck is going on over there.
No, and this is great precedence. If anybody watched Suns Jam or have listened to it last night, randomly Flex joined in and it was kind of a little mega pod and it was fun to listen to. I was able to listen to it today when I was out working and doing things. And a great point that John brought out that I was kind of thinking throughout this process, you know, you have LeBron and Chris Paul come out and they tweet out something. Okay, that's one thing, but you need more than the players, right? And then you had the PayPal, and then who knows who was in his ear being like, bro, just step away. Just walk away. Just go. You don't know who was saying that. And that's kind of what I was worried about was they would tell him it's okay and to stay. The people
Right.
that were in his ears.
So
And I was
shout out to the
afraid that
people behind the scenes that actually, yeah.
absolutely.
No,
And
go
I was
ahead.
afraid that the people that were in his ear were telling him to stay and that they were the owners. And like, no, we need to stand and bond together. And I was like, there's something fishy about this. But then John made a good point. They all have skeletons. They all have things that they do. Yada, yada, yada. Now, we have covered at length what this did to the team last year, and it had a negative light on it. Then the DeAndre Ayton contract situation, and it was just kind of not a great season, even though we had 18 straight wins, even though best record and all that stuff, right? Now we can start the healing. Now we can move on. We don't have a new owner in place for this coming year. Do you guys think, and Jay, I want to start with you, do you think this affects them negatively or positively throughout the season going forward, not having that rudder, if you will? But I wouldn't even call him a rudder. I would call James Jones the rudder and Monty Williams is the wind in the sail, right? But do you think this affects them negatively, or is this a positive thing and we can move forward and persevere past it and all that bullshit, Jay?
It would have been a negative thing if like this suspension held and Robert Sarver was still going to linger around, you know. But since starting the season as a team that's basically the same from the 64 win team, still has potential to rack up wins like crazy, and looking for new ownership and potentially can go on another NBA Finals run. Like I think a lot of people are going to throw that Robert Sarver thing to the side, especially on national broadcasting and all that. And it's just going to be strictly the game and the players and all that. It would have definitely been a conversation matter if Robert Sarver's suspension and still held and he didn't decide to sell the team. So I think we're starting on the right path. And someone tweeted this out earlier, but with the lack of moves the Suns have made, like in the last few months, have sucked. But getting rid of Robert Sarver is basically makes up for all of that, in my opinion, if not more. So it truly means a lot, and just for the years to come, everyone wants to talk about a bogey and all these other players and stuff. It's staying for the short term and not the long term. But this is a long term solution that we don't have Robert Sarver pulling the strings from behind the scenes. So and this is a good thing going forward.
Suns fan Randy, this is a really good comment, and I want to point this one to you. I kind of want to think Sarver will come out and snitch or tell some deep down in the closet stories or something like that. I personally don't think the Robert
Ooh.
Sarver saga is over yet. I think
Real
there's going to be
quick,
something coming after that. Yeah, Jay.
the guy that's taking over, Jason something, basically Robert Sarver's best friend and second in command. I hardly doubt that this guy isn't a piece of shit as well. So like
I mean,
something might come
look,
out about
man,
him.
there were a lot of ownership people that came out in support of Robert Sarver last year. We didn't hear a damn thing from Larry Fitzgerald. Like, it's almost one of those things. If you're not on the side of that, you're against this, even if you don't say anything, you're almost supporting it silently. I'm a
Right.
little ashamed in Larry Fitzgerald for not coming out and saying something even now. But he hasn't said anything. And maybe he's trying to wrangle up something and he wants Sarver to still sell to him and as a minority partner, whatever it may be. I don't know, but that's just something. Randy, do you think the Sarver saga is over? Do you think there's going to be some sort of story or BS or something that he's going to come out with sometime now until before the sale is over? And it was Sam Garvin, by the way. Sam Garvin.
I
I don't.
yeah. I would hope that it's over because, like I said, we went through a lot. We went through a lot with Robert Sarver, just through the years. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he went out and snitched on other people or exposed other people for what they're doing. Because only reason I would say that is because he wasn't apologetic in his little statement that he wrote. He was just like,
No.
"Well, you know
Cancel
what I'm
culture.
saying?" Yeah, he was like, "The cancel culture got me."
Blamed
Essentially,
everybody else.
yeah,
Yeah.
and never said sorry, not one time. So it was just like, okay. So like I wouldn't be surprised. It might be like he might have a couple things up his sleeve, but I definitely wouldn't be surprised.
Look, man, if this is the thing that gets an Arizona sports team the money to actually be able to finally compete with the big boys, then I'm not saying this is a good thing that this happened. It's a good thing that he's selling. It's a good thing that he's
Right.
going to be gone. But the fact that we might have a Jeff Bezos or something like that own this team, it's better than Kevin Durant, because that makes it so that we can get the next Kevin Durant almost every single offseason that we want to, right?
Sure.
I mean, look at what's his name, Steve, what's his name that just bought the
Steve Ballmer?
Clippers?
Ballmer.
Not Ballmer. Thank you. I was like, Ballesteros? Like, no, that's the golfer. He's in the stands. He's putting money out. You saw what that money did for that franchise.
And he's a general fan of basketball too, which helps
Right.
a lot. I mean, look at the team now. The team is fucking loaded. So
No, exactly. And so this gives us that opportunity to do that. Darth made a great point. Look at what TNT did for the Braves. Look at what WGN did for the Cubs, man. Look what all that oil money in the 70s did to the broadcasting rights for the Dallas Cowboys. It made them America's team. So if we can somehow do like a Hulu package, Amazon or Amazon Prime or whatever, that would be absolutely incredible. As long as Suns fans get free shipping on Amazon, that should be a must. This is overall, at the end of the day, going to be a positive, because whoever is buying it is in a very advantageous position. And I just want to lay this out for you guys and get your comment. Like, one, not only do we have Devin Booker locked up for the next X amount of years, along with Mikhail, Cam, DeAndre Ayton, we have a coach who I already said was the sale. We have our rudder and James Jones. Like, the infrastructure is already in place for an owner just to come in, put the money in, and say, keep doing what you're doing. They don't have to do anything else other than put their name out there, attend the games, do the things you would expect from an owner, right? On top of that, Flex said he thinks this could even go to the 3 billion number. It might be more than that, considering the TV broadcasting rights are just about to come up. So whoever buys it now is going to profit big time when that comes up. So the timing of this, considering Devin Booker is in his fucking prime, no pun intended with Amazon Prime, is just perfect. It is just perfect. You couldn't ask for better timing for this with where our core is in their career. So that was what I wanted to say about it. Randy, let's get your thoughts first.
Yeah, no, I definitely, after I seen it, I was ecstatic, just because I was like, all right, let's go get this ring now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, we got this out the way. And I felt like it was kind of a cloud over the team. So I feel like, I don't know if we can get like a kind of miracle kind of season going and just like everybody rally up and go get one or whatever. But, and I guess we'll talk about it later. Like, I'm not too excited to run it back with the same team, but I feel like that news yesterday made me a little bit more like, all right, like, these guys are going to come out and play some more inspired basketball. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was just where I was at with it.
Does Herm Edwards make a run for the team? He sure done got shit to do. He's got to put up his house for sale in PV right now. That's for sure. Jay, what do you think about the timing of the sale of the Suns right now and Booker and all that fun stuff?
from a business perspective, it's an absolute best timing you could have possibly got, and especially with the clientele that's going to be tapping and trying to buy an NBA team, and people that have been on the wait list to buy an NBA team as well. Like just starting from the partial owners of the Suns already. I mean, John Majafi, he's on record saying he didn't have interest of being a majority owner, but who's to say that won't change now, especially with him and his brother taking the reins, and then it just everything shifts up from there with Robert Sarver's name placed out, thrown away. But I mean, Bob Iger, former CEO of Disney, loaded beyond belief. He's been on the wait list for a while. The CEO of Nike, he's been wanting an NBA team for a while. He might wait for the expansion to possibly get a team in Seattle. That's a thing too. With also Jeff Bezos with Amazon, and if we get Jeff Bezos, I mean, we can pay our luxury tax. Everybody else.
We could have our next stadium on the moon, bro.
Yeah, to a moon game. But like, yeah, like there has to be a limit of the amount of money like a team could spend in a year, depending on the owner. So
There's
there has to be rules about that.
There's
But
maybe I don't know if Darth is still in the chat. I mean, is there a limit of the tax money that we can pay out, like over the cap tax and over the cap threshold, anything like that? I'm curious about that because he could be like, nah, here's another 20 mil, here's another 40 mil, I've got another 100 million. Here you go.
and what I thought would be really funny is if Jeff Bezos waits for that expansion team in Seattle because he lives out there, and then Mackenzie Scott, if you don't know who Mackenzie Scott is his ex-wife, also multi-billionaire uh, from the divorce and all this other stuff. So I think it would be funny if one of them got one team and one of the other, and we're basically in the same conference. So that would be pretty funny for just competition by itself. Yeah, Jackie Moon owner, exactly, exactly. Like the halftime shows would be crazy, but like there's so many people lined up to get an NBA team, and with the expansion coming, the NBA TV deals, and then Phoenix being 4 hours away from Vegas, 4 hours away
Oh,
from San Diego, 5, and then Texas is only like it takes like half the day to get to. I mean, we're like in the all these popular major cities, along with population on the rise and like a top 5 in population in the U.S. So why not have buy a team in Phoenix? It just makes sense.
it's just the absolute perfect timing. And I really want to go in deep about this, and we're gonna do a little preview this Sunday, which is gonna be a lot of fun of where we're gonna be. But we do have some roster news to a point to talk about. Jay Crowder wanting out and wanting to get paid. Jay Crowder wants to get his last bag, if you will, and Suns aren't willing to do it right now, right? So Bogdanovich, he
Right.
was ready to go. He was the trade target. That's who everybody wanted. Like, I wanted him because he's a shooter, he's more reliable, this and that. I mean, Jay, you and me went back and forth on Twitter about his defense and whatnot. So that was a
Right.
concern. But then he gets traded this morning. But then you start hearing rumblings from Flex on last night's episode. And there's been actually a couple other outlets that have said this, that the next target is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, something that we targeted on this podcast like last year. I think a lot of people had, just because of how damn good he is. The 6'6" guard that can guard 3 positions. I mean, he's a good rebounder. He's a jack of all trades. He's DeJounte Murray on steroids. And I love me some DeJounte Murray, right? And look what he got traded for. So SGA to the Suns, that's the possibility. I still think Clarkson in the interim would be a nice run. Randy, do you like SGA on the Suns? Do you think that's an actual possible target? Are we going to trade him for picks? Are we not making any moves before camp opens up in 4 days on Monday?
Yeah, nah. Yeah, no, I don't see James Jones making any moves because like I think we seen well, I don't know if you guys read it, but it was like a little article that Dwayne Rankin put out about the interview he had with James Jones, and it seemed like James Jones knew pretty soon that Kevin Durant wasn't coming. And so with
Right.
that information, and you still decide not to make any other calls or any other moves, like, all right, this domino is gone, so let me, like, I don't have too much confidence. Like, I feel like during the season when he picked up Aaron Holiday and all, I was like, okay, I believe in James, but now this offseason, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at him with a little bit of a side eye. But with SGA, not really, just because realistically he would probably have to come off the bench, and he's making like max. So I just feel a way about paying a max player to come off the bench. But I do know that Chris Paul's at the end of his little tunnel, and he's gonna break down soon. But I don't know if his ego and Monty's, like, if his coaching will let Chris Paul, you know what I'm saying, like, come off the bench or be like, all right, SGA needs to play more minutes than you. You know what I mean?
He's heating up.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. I do think there's ways you can make it work. Maybe SGA closes games, but then why would you have Chris Paul if he can't close a game? We can get into that conversation. Jay, what do you think about SGA?
SGA is perfect. I mean, especially when you're thinking long term. Yes, he has injury history, but we don't know if that's like overblowed and it's just OKC trying to tank and just saying like, "Oh, you have a knee thing, just sit out." But SGA for the long term is a perfect plan. I mean, he brings a lot. Chris Paul and him already have chemistry together, and they made it like they basically flipped the switch when them two were together back in OKC. But like you said, Randy, like yeah, he would have to come off the bench, or we run a 3 guard lineup, and run with Mikal and Da obviously. But like like if we bring in SGA, Chris Paul can take a load managing sort of thing. So we can try to keep him primed up for this upcoming playoffs or even the year after. And we give SGA the promise, like, yeah, you might be 6 man, but you're going to be starting at least 30 to 40 games. This season, we're going to rest up Chris Paul and all this stuff. You're going to be playing more minutes. We're going to put you with Booker and the rest of the crew. And then when Chris Paul's done, you have the keys along with Booker, and y'all being maxed out along with Da going forward will be a nice trio and still one of the better backcourts in the league. I think going after SGA is smart, but when he comes up on the out of it and to be available, like who's to say if that would happen this year or even next year? But who knows with OKC?
It's just crazy the way things happen. And that's really all I can say. I never thought we would be in a position where we could potentially get Kevin Durant, and look where we were, right? Hell, I never thought we'd see us getting back to the finals and look at us, right? It's just funny the way things happen. Flex said a move is coming. I don't know if that means a move is coming now or in the future. Like, obviously things can change. Things can change rapidly. Bogdanovich is not a target anymore. We would not give up a first round pick for it. I love that we have that ability to say that and keep those draft picks for something else that comes their way, but you do got to make a move at some time. I don't think it's advantageous for us to run into the season as is, especially when we need that backup guard help. We need that badly, right, Randy?
Yeah. No, we need that and backup power forward. So like you said, like in a perfect world, SGA
we got Dario Saric. No, we do not. How dare you?
We need it. No, we definitely need a backup power forward because I feel like Dario, like even though he never really dealt with any major injuries, but like watching him play night after night, like he's a pretty clumsy dude. Like he's on the spectrum of always about to get hurt. Like he's pretty clumsy for whatever reason. But yeah. So it's just I don't know. But with the SGA in the perfect world, yeah. If only I would be cool with the SGA only if Monty could look Chris Paul in the eye and say, like, look, you're hurting the team. We're going to put in, you know what I mean? I don't think that conversation would happen. But I think that we definitely need a backup point guard. I don't think that, what was his name? Frank? Is that his name? The new guy? Frank Jackson?
Frank Jackson.
That was the guy we got?
That ain't
so
it.
I don't think. Yeah, Frank Jackson. Yeah, that
For
ain't
a point
it.
guard, he averages 1 assist.
And 1 minute.
And Dwayne Washington ain't it. Like, no. Dwayne Washington. Yeah, Dwayne Washington.
But it's cool to get one of
Buck's I'd rather
buddies from the same spot though, because they're both from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yep.
So that's a positive as far as that front is. And unfortunately, we got to kind of stop our Phoenix Suns talk here, and we're gonna bring Randy on hopefully either this Sunday or next Sunday. We're gonna do a whole NBA preview, top to bottom. So I don't want to spoil too much for everybody, but it was great having Randy back on. Do you have any final thoughts on the Sarver situation or the Suns or anything that you want to leave with us before you take off here?
Ding dong, the witch is dead. I don't know. Like, yeah, I was just super happy. I'm super excited for the season, man. So
I love it.
We can get to it. Like he said, I'm just dreaming right now. We can get Jeff Bezos, best case scenario. Spend this money, get this ring. I'm trying to stand on top of some cars on Jefferson.
Let's go. We'll all come out there with you. Randy, it was a blast having you on again. It's good to see you. It's good to hear your voice. Please tell everybody where they can find you and all your work.
Yep, on YouTube, Stay Off My Grass Podcast, and also on TikTok, Stay Off My Grass Pod. And I think it's on Twitter too, Stay Off My Grass Pod. So, check me out.
Check out Suns fan Randy. He is the man of the Suns fan people, considering his brother is a Lakers fan and he wears LA hats. It's the craziest thing. Randy, it's great to have you on, man.
He's on fire.
Yes, sir.
And we'll have you on again soon. All right, my friend.
All right, man. Peace.
Cheers.
See you, Randy.
Man, it was good to see him. This Sarver thing caught me by surprise. I did not think it would happen this fast. I thought we were going to be into the season and something else would come. So that was a damn good surprise. Cardinals and Rams. Switching gears a little bit, Jay. First off, how are you feeling about the victory on Sunday night? Have you watched the replay 1,000,001 times?
Oh yeah, of course. You know who hasn't? I mean, it's one of the craziest finishes in recent memory. But I've been more looking into our offensive line and how they played, and also what Zach Allen and J.J. Watt were doing. And in the second half, they were phenomenal. And Will Hernandez, I feel like, found a new light out here
Oh, God, dude.
in
Beast.
Glendale. Yeah, he was feasting. He was keeping guys in front of him. I mean, he was just playing phenomenally. And then Rodney Hudson too was playing great. Then seeing Justin Pugh back on the field, doing what he was doing in the second half, you know, he seemed like 3 years younger. I mean, he was just moving great in that game. And then what DJ Humphries was able to do to Chandler Jones, I knew it was bad, but like rewatching it.
What movie was it where there's a little kid coming, the little kid's hitting like this, and the guy is just holding the head there, and the kid just starts whacking, can't do anything. That's what it was like with Chandler Jones and DJ Humphries. But before we get too far in depth, somebody that I've wanted to work with for quite a while. Unfortunately, he does like this Lakers and LA stuff again. It's really annoying, but one of the better personalities on ASAP Sports Network, the one, the only sports judge from what was that? The sports judge, Jonathan Mathis. I've been wanting to collab with you for a while, so thank you so much for coming on, Jonathan. How are you doing, and what Jays do you have on right now?
What's going on, fellas? How you guys feeling tonight? I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be on this show. Thanks for having me, Coach Evan. What's up, Jay? Hey, you guys put on a great show. This is awesome stuff. I'm just happy to be here. And the Jays that I had on today are actually behind me. I'll put them back on the rack. I had on the Jubilee 11s today. Those are the Jays I was rocking today with this fresh tee. Yes.
Amazon. We're fans of Amazon.
He's on fire.
Everything with Jeff Bezos, but one more.
He's on fire.
So let's get right into it so we don't waste too much time, Jonathan. First off, what have you seen from the Arizona Cardinals in the first 2 weeks, considering they got pounded in week 1 in KC and one of the crazier come from behind 20-0 victories in Las Vegas last week?
Well, in two games, right? They're still trying to figure things out, right? They're still you still trying to establish an identity this early in the season. But from what I've seen against the Raiders, this looked like a team that's resilient. This looks like a team that doesn't give up. This looks like a team that fights to the very end. And, hey, their defense has been pretty good. You know, they have a collective bunch. You know, you have veteran presence there. You have Chandler Jones. And I think that should be the biggest fear for the Rams as well, having to face those guys particularly because it hasn't been pretty for the Rams, as we all know. But that's what I've seen from the Cardinals. The Cardinals definitely have a bunch of star power on offense. I believe in Kyler Murray. I think he has a chance to be a great quarterback in the NFL. There's so many people that has given up on him. When he first came into the league, people said he wasn't battle tested. They said he was too small to play the position. They doubted him. They didn't think that, he had the ability to play the quarterback position. The only area of concern is his leadership, and that will come with growth. That will come with time. People need to step back a little bit, let the man breathe, let him showcase his talent, because he's going to continue to do that. And we saw against the Raiders how resilient this team can be, and that's scary if you're the Rams, because the Rams almost damn near let the Falcons come back on Sunday.
And Matthew Stafford is leading the league right now in interceptions.
Yes.
You being a lifelong Los Angeles Rams fan, of course,
Right.
what have you seen different from the Rams offense? Stafford, I know like their line is beat up. They don't have that stout left tackle anymore. You know, the center is going to be out. One of your guards might be out as well too. Is it the offensive line? Is it the play calling? Is Stafford just lost this year's Super Bowl hangover? What are we seeing right now to the first 2 weeks?
I think you nailed it. I think it's a combination of everything. I think it's a Super Bowl hangover. This team is suffering through a massive hangover. Every team goes through that wins the Super Bowl. That's one of the issues. Another issue is the offensive line. You don't have Andrew Whitworth anymore. That's a huge loss on your offensive line. You don't have that veteran presence anymore. So, I mean, a lot is different with that offensive line, and it starts up front. You need those big guys. You need those big bodies in front of you to protect you. And if you don't have that protection, and if you feel like you're under so much pressure and duress, you're going to struggle.
It's like Detroit. You're going to get Detroit Matthew Stafford again.
You're going to exactly. And I already mentioned that, Evan. I went on Twitter and said this was the Detroit Rams when they played in Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. So I mean, Stafford is going to make those mistakes. Look, he resembles Tom Brady in a sense. What does Tom Brady does when he's under so much pressure? He gets frustrated. It leads to turnovers. That's what we're seeing with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is trying to run for his life out there. He's trying to make plays, but he doesn't have enough time to extend plays because the offensive line is not holding up. The pocket is collapsing. That's forcing him to make throws he don't want to make. He's not in his comfort zone anymore. And he's forcing throws, and that's leading to turnovers down the field. And it's going to continue to happen until that offensive line is addressed. Another thing is they need to establish the running game. Why do you abandon the running game? That's something that used to work for the Rams. That used to work for Sean McVay. But here's the thing with Sean McVay, and I love Sean McVay because he's innovative. He's a brilliant mind. The problem with Sean McVay is that he likes to experiment with his shiny toys. He gets all these shiny toys, and he wants to play. He wants to play with them all. He wants to see what he has. He wants to continue to have Matthew Stafford air out the football. And we all know how efficient Matthew Stafford can be, but we also know how unreliable he can be when you're trusting him to lead your offense through the entire game. You can't just rely on Matthew Stafford for a full 60 minutes. You have to let Cam Akers do his thing. You have to let Darrell Henderson do his thing. You have to establish the run game so you can open things up for your offense, so you can utilize play action, so you can get more creative with your offense. And I think that's what the Rams have gotten away from. But let me tell you this, if they slip up this week, the Cardinals will beat them.
Man, like you just unloaded
Hell
the
yeah.
chamber, Jonathan. Like to hear a very unbiased Rams side of things is really nice because you just don't hear that a lot when it comes to LA sports. So I appreciate that. But I think you're 100% right. What I've seen from the Rams, I think most of it is a Super Bowl hangover. I still think they have one of the better rosters in the league. But on the flip side of that coin, they're going into a week 3 with a completely different offensive line. It's like the third adjustment. They're not utilizing the run game. There's been favoritism when it comes to throwing it to what wide receivers. I mean, of course, Kupp is going to get all the targets and looks, right? But when you have Allen Robinson on the other side of the field running routes and he isn't getting anything, yeah, he was utilized a lot more during the Falcons game. But Matthew Stafford has to find a balance between all the receivers, not just one. I mean, I think that's kind of like the big reason why the Cardinals won last Sunday against the Raiders is because we cut off Devontae, and then Derek Carr just didn't know what to do at that point. So,
and they stopped the run. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, of course, I'm looking forward to Buda Baker getting his revenge on Cam Akers. I'm kind of hoping that the Rams utilize the run game just for some sweet revenge from that embarrassing playoff loss. But I think everything that you said is 100% on the money. I mean, there's definitely questions around, but again, the Rams still have one of the better rosters in the league, one of the smartest coaches in the league. That is willing to play it safe and do what it takes to win. But on our end, we're dealing with a coach that's looking for the big play every play, and we just waste downs and possessions and repetitiveness. But my question to you is: do you think the Rams are getting a little too predictable at this point? Because Ramsey
Hmm.
is getting it. Ramsey's being targeted and kind of exposed
Yes.
now. That was happening on the second half of last season, and it's happening to start this season. And Matthew Stafford's just play calling. We know he's going to do run pass options. He's going to roll and throw the cup. Like we know the whole shtick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think the Rams are getting too predictable, and Sean McVay's kind of running out of things to draw up in the playbook?
Sure. He's running out of things to draw up in the playbook. Absolutely. The offense does look predictable. It's a bit suspect. It's predictable. It's bland. You're running all these play option plays. It's Stafford to Cup. In week 1, you guys might remember that they didn't even get Allen Robinson involved.
Yeah,
I do. He's on my fantasy team. I sure as hell remember.
Well, he didn't get involved until week 2. All of a sudden he was getting targeted more. Matthew Stafford, didn't, get him in the offense at all. It was all Cooper Kupp, and I feel like this team has been one-dimensional. Like I said, they don't have a strong running game. They haven't executed well this season at all. I didn't think they executed very well against the Falcons, to be quite honest with you. I think they played a tremendous first half, and then they got complacent and they kind of slid, towards the game.
Are they doing it by design, Jonathan? Because they now know what it takes to get to the playoffs, to get to the Super Bowl. The first 4 weeks are just that. They're the first 4 weeks, right? A lot of people say the NFL doesn't even begin until week 5. Right. And that's when people start going crazy. You look at week 1, what happened to week 2? It was night and day for some franchises and some teams. Exactly. Are they doing this on purpose? Is that a possibility? Or are there serious flaws we're going to need to be looking at throughout the remainder of the year?
I don't think they're doing this so much on purpose because there's a risk. The Cardinals are a good team. You don't want to fall too far behind in the NFC West. So I think more than anything, it's rust. It's the fact that Sean McVay doesn't play his players in preseason. They didn't really have time to warm up. Matthew Stafford didn't really have time to develop that chemistry with his new guy, Allen Robinson. I think a lot of that is a factor as well. You have to factor that in as well, that these guys didn't play much in the preseason. They rested up. They got ready for the season. So they're trying to shake off some of that rust a bit.
We did too.
We're dealing with that too. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's that. I also think what Jay said is just the offense is predictable. But here's another big whoa. The defense, the secondary particularly, and going against the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, when you have 2 good wide receivers out there and you don't even have your best wide receiver because he's still out. And that is DeAndre Hopkins. He's still out. He's not playing yet. But you have 2 other guys that draws a lot of attention, and that's Brown and Green. And if Jalen Ramsey is going to get beat and he's going to get burned really bad like he's been doing so far this season, then it's not going to be a pretty picture for them against the Cardinals because that secondary is just going to get blown each time.
How's Bobby Wagner been so far for you guys?
Bobby Wagner's all right. He's not Von Miller. He doesn't replace Von Miller at all. That's another thing. I think the Rams missed Von Miller tremendously. It showed in week 1 because Von Miller put a beating on his former teammate, Matthew Stafford. So I don't think you could really replace a guy like that. But Bobby Wagner was brought in to be that guy, to be that extra body as a linebacker. I think Bobby Wagner's a bit slower. He's a step slower now at this point in his career. But you needed a replacement. You needed a reinforcement. You got it with him. I think the bigger question still, though, at the end of the day, is the secondary and how will the secondary hold up, and will they be able to stop the running game? That's another question for the Rams too. Will they be able to stop the running game? Will they be able to to slow down the passing game? Those are big questions.
Jay, what do you got for Jonathan? I'm going to pull up the injury report, by the way, coming up in a second.
Oh yeah, no problem. So going into week 3, of course, there's a pathway for y'all to win, right? Like you've seen this team win at the highest level. From from your perspective, how can you see the Cardinals
Good enough.
pulling out this win, like in the fashion that you think they can?
Well, it starts through Kyler Murray, right? He's the engine to that offense. If he plays well, you got a great chance to win. And the Arizona Cardinals are coming into this game looking to keep momentum going after that week 2 comeback. Those kind of wins
That's not right.
are big. Those kind of wins are confident boosters. So I think it's going to come down to what the offense do. I think the offense know that they have a great shot against this Rams team. But I also think it's going to come down to the defense putting pressure on Matthew Stafford. If the defense can get after Matthew Stafford and make it a difficult afternoon for him and force turnovers, they can capitalize on those mistakes, turn it into a short field, and the Cardinals could easily run away with the victory.
That was basically week 4 last season down there in SoFi. But like there's definitely a way for the Cardinals to win this. Like I think playing it safe and doing what we're really good at, and what we did against the Raiders, I feel like just check downing, running screen passes, and you like really utilizing your potential and just going full steam ahead. For the Rams, I mean, like y'all can put up the numbers in a flip of a switch. So
Right.
I feel like there isn't as many question marks with you guys as there is with us, because we started the season red hot and then we dwindled like crazy, and now we're just fi- finally finding our footing. Maybe we're not even finding our footing and we just kind of got lucky, because we still saw 6 terrible quarters of Cardinals football, and then we were just able to clean some things up in the last game. So we still might just get absolutely torched. So like who's to say that might not happen still? So like I don't know. I think this game is going to end up in a shootout.
It could.
I
It
feel
could.
I feel like I feel like the defenses are either going to step up big, or it's going to be just a shooting match, and the defenses aren't just going to be aren't going to be able to stop what's coming on both ends.
Right. And you could very well see that. You could see 2 quarterbacks throwing haymakers at each other. It could look like that, or it could be like you said. It could be a game in a battle of defenses, and it could come down to winning this game in the trenches. It remains to be seen, but I think it could be a very, very good game. These 2 teams are battling for first place in the NFC West, so it's definitely gonna live up to the hype. It's definitely gonna be a game as advertised, I think, and I think we're in for a treat.
Boom shakalaka!
I do think we're not. I don't think we're going to be able to get to Matthew Stafford just because we haven't been able to get to the quarterback like we want to. We've had some pressures and whatnot.
Right.
The guy starting opposite side of JJ Watt by the name of Zach Allen. He, baby Watt, he is due for a breakout game. And it very well could be this game with a banged up O-line. So if we can get to Matthew Stafford, if we get 7 to 8 or 9 hurries, I think we're going to be able to win this game, because that means we're getting hits and we're getting all that stuff, right? I think hurries is the number we need to be looking at, because that shows how efficient our pass rush ultimately is to be able to get to him. After that, our secondary has a lot of question marks. Now, they were able to show out against Devontae Adams, and I'm not going to take anything away from that, but this is now Cooper Kupp, who burned us twice last year when we knew what was coming. The routes were there. In fact, we were in front of the ball. We tipped the ball so many times to Cooper Kupp, but it just found its way into Kupp's hands every single damn time. we have major questions at the cornerback mark. I think Jay would agree here, and that's something that's going to be very, very questionable. Now, I do think we can rush the passer like we did against Mahomes, but not have the success that Stafford has. I think that's kind of the recipe for him, is you rush the shit out of Stafford and make
You
him
can
make the
blitz
mistakes, right?
Stafford. You can't
That-
blitz Mahomes.
But if we do that, and we leave our cornerbacks on an island and they can't keep up, it's going to be a long day. Fortunately for us, Vance Joseph, our defensive coordinator, has proven now that he can make adjustments at halftime, because he absolutely did it. So I have hopes there. As far as the quarterback is concerned, if I were to tell you one quarterback has 350 yards, one quarterback has 225 in this game, which quarterback would you pick for which yardage and why?
I'm going with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray
For 350?
Yeah, and I know Matthew Stafford led the Rams to the Super Bowl. I know he put up some good numbers last year. I know he had a breakthrough season last year, and he didn't look like the Stafford that we saw in Detroit. But Kyler Murray, man, to me is a dual threat quarterback. This guy is
damn straight.
This guy is athletic.
I love this guy.
Give him
he's on fire.
I told you I found like the two LA guys that are actually the most like non-biased ever.
Oh yeah, I try to stay unbiased with everything. You know, that's just in my nature. But you know, he has shown electrifying athleticism. He has demonstrated it. You know, and like I said, he's the engine to that offense. You know, and
he is the offense, right?
He is the offense. You know, like I said, there's a lack of maturity, but again, that all comes over time. That comes with growth. You know, everyone comes into the league as a young stud, and they have to grow up eventually. They have to realize that it's a big boys league, and he will take on that leadership role. I'm confident that he will. But to answer your question, I got to go with Murray. I just think he can hurt you in so many ways, with his feet and his arm. And he definitely has the arm strength, and he definitely has the speed, you know, so he can kill you. He can kill you in a variety of ways. And I think we've seen enough of that to know that.
I got one more question for you, and then I'm going to let Jay ask a question or two. The LA Rams will beat the Arizona Cardinals if
Matthew Stafford plays a clean game. You know, last week was sloppy. Week 1 was sloppy. They have to clean things up, because if you turn over the ball a number of times, you're not going to win too many football games. I'm sorry. Turnovers is what kill you. So you have to protect the football. You have to take care of the football, and you have to treat it like it's precious gold. And if they could do that, hey, they have a shot.
Man. And you're just unloading everything. I absolutely love it, Jonathan. Thank you for coming on. Okay. From like, as a Rams fan, do you like the newer color concept, or are you more of a navy blue, white, and silver St. Louis guy?
Oh no, I'm a royal blue guy all day. You know, if you look at my Jordan collection, most of my shoes are blue, and I just love royal blue. And no, it's not because I'm a Dodger fan. I am a Dodger fan, by the way. Obviously, I live in LA, but it's just a pretty color.
Don't start with me.
It's a pretty color, and it's the original Rams look as well. So I'm digging that. I'm digging that royal blue with that yellow. It's a nice color.
I actually had another question I wanted to ask, because I thought about this, and then we'll get you on your way. Thank you so much for your time, and everybody hit the like button on the stream and share it out. Follow us as well as Jonathan the Sports Judge, and we'll let him get a drop here in a second. You're an old head like me, and back in the late 90s, there was a guy by the name of Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie was probably 5'7", right? But people loved him, Jonathan. Right. Even when he was at Boston College, he had, I think it was the Boston Miracle, the Boston Tea Party, whatever amazing play that was. And he went to the Canadian Football League, got his chance with the Bills. People loved Doug Flutie. You could question his passing and all that stuff. He was kind of a dual threat guy for a 90s quarterback, right?
Right.
He was dual threat for the most part, but he got sponsorships. I mean, you'll still see him on a Hanes commercial or whatever it is. People loved him because he was the underdog, because he was the fighter, because he was short and shouldn't be there. Kyler Murray's short, way more athletic, way more dynamic, way better of a passer. He should be there. Heisman Trophy winner, 5'9", 5'9.5" with cleats on. Why do people hate Kyler Murray or hate on him? Is it because he's an easy target? If so, what is the difference between now and like Doug Flutie back in the day?
It's because of his size. It's because of the fact that a lot of people felt that he was more equipped to play baseball. You know, it's also the fact that he turned down the Oakland A's. You know, it's a number of reasons why, you know, he doesn't get the same recognition or the love that Doug Flutie got from fans, you know, and it's unfortunate because sometimes we don't appreciate a player until he's gone. You know, then we realize what we had in a player or how good this player really was. You know, and Kyler Murray, unfortunately, might be one of those guys. But, you know, like I always say, winning cures everything. And if you lead your team to the Super Bowl, everyone's going to be hyping you up. Oh, this guy is great. Oh, this guy is so good. Oh, he has the chance to be the GOAT someday. You hear those kind of comments, right? From people when a player wins it all. You know, so it might take that for Kyler Murray to finally get the love and the appreciation and the respect, you know, but it is the fact that, you know, it's his size, you know, it's also the fact that you play a quarterback position, which is one of the most important positions in all of football. And it's also the fact that a lot of people feel that because of his speed that he shouldn't be playing at the quarterback position. They feel that because he's so athletic that he should be a running back or he should be at another position. I know it's ignorant, but that's the way people
rejected.
He'll get cracked.
That's the way people think. You know, they have an ignorant mind, and they think because he's so damn explosive and because he's such a dynamic playmaker that why don't you just put him at another position?
It's that hater vibe. Sonia is totally right. Sonia, what's going on with you tonight, Sonia? I just want to see how Sonia is. How you doing? No, you're totally right. Jay, do you have any other further questions for Jonathan here?
I have a basketball question for you. Obviously, you have all the Jordans behind you. So, a game 1-on-1, LeBron versus Jordan. Who do you think wins out of 3?
Oh man, that's a tough question. You put me on the spot here. I like LeBron James. Don't get me wrong. LeBron James, you know, has the physical attributes. He's clearly one of the best players of his era. No question about it. But I have to go with Michael Jordan. In a one-on-one game, I have to go with MJ. And that's not me being biased because MJ was my favorite player growing up, by the way. I just think MJ will beat him in a one-on-one game. I just think MJ has the ability to take on LeBron James. Even though LeBron James has the ability to go to the basket because he has that great upper body strength, right? He has the ability to finish strong under the basket. But I gotta go with Michael Jordan here. Michael Jordan to me was the GOAT. He was my GOAT. I know there's an argument about that. A lot of people disagree with that. They feel that he's not the GOAT. But I gotta go with MJ. I gotta go with my man MJ.
Boom shakalaka!
I love it, and there's gonna be plenty more to have this conversation. Jonathan, it was a pleasure to have you on, my guy from ASAP Sports Network. Tell everybody where they can find you. Put in a plug.
Fellas. I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, SportsJudge85. You guys can find me on Instagram, SportsJudge85, same thing. And you guys can also like and follow my fan page on Facebook. It's called The Sports Judge. Check it out. Look it up. The Sports Judge. It's on Facebook. And you guys can follow me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, my own personal YouTube channel. It's called The Sports Judge. I am a cartoon character. You guys won't miss it. Check it out. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Everybody go over to him, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. My guy, it was great to have you on. We're going to chop it up soon. Go Cardinals, though.
All right. Hey, I'll be down for that. I'm down for that. Anytime, fellas. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
Thank you, Jonathan.
That was awesome. What a lot of fun. But now we're going to do something that we haven't done before, guys. We are going to talk about the Arizona Coyotes finally. And we are going to bring on the one, the only, Matthew. You guys will know him as the AZ sports guy. What is going on, man? How are we doing today?
People know me. That's a shock to me. I'm here, been here, been there, wasted some money on trading cards, so can't complain.
I love it. Unfortunately, my son is crying upstairs for a second. I got to go hop upstairs for 1 minute. Jay, I'm going to leave it up to you, but let's talk some Coyotes.
All right.
What's going on, man? How you doing, man?
Can't complain. What you got?
So I'm not the hockey guy. Evan is. Are you an Arizona native? Was hockey always your love? Tell me your story about how you got into the hockey sphere and why are the Coyotes your team through all the bad years? Just unload on me.
Well, I love pain, I suppose. I guess I'm a bit of a masochist, but no, Arizona born and raised. Grew up in Phoenix and headed to the West Valley for middle school and whatnot. But my dad, he's a big hockey fan. His family was from Chicago. Luckily, we're not Blackhawks fans, but he got me a street hockey stick when I was younger, bought me all the NHL games for my GameCube back in the day, and took me to a few hockey games, and that was it. Anyone else, the Suns, Cardinals, and D-backs could all win championships in the same year, and I would trade them all for a single Stanley Cup Finals appearance. But it's just a young age, fell in love with the game, and I guess I like underdogs. Or do you want to call them the forgotten worthless ones? Pick a nickname, trash on them. I don't know. I guess I got a bit of a heart for sob stories.
So it's common knowledge that the Coyotes are playing in that ASU hockey rink right now. On Twitter, the center ice is floating around of the two ogres. I think it looks pretty clean. Going forward with how the Coyotes are in the current state of the team, I know they're picking up some traction towards the end of the season. They were kind of racking up some wins and stuff. You think this team and current rosters on the up and up, or do you think a lot more things need to change before we even talk about playoffs and Stanley Cup possibly?
Oh, I'm the hopeless optimist that acknowledges the fact that young rosters, they can boom or bust. Sometimes it takes them 4 or 5 years to get their footing. Pretty sure you know about that with football, basketball. It's pretty common throughout all the sports. But this current roster, probably going to suck. Probably still going to be bottom 5 in the league. But I'm looking for our guys like Clayton Keller going to finally hit that first 30-goal season. How Schmaltz he going to play throughout the year? When are we going to see some of the younger kids? Is Dylan Gunther going to get a game or two at the end of the season? And I want to see what some of these young players are going to do. I want to see guys like Barrett Hayton take steps forward. Ivan Prosvetov, the goaltenders, and be the backup this year for Mamelka. I'm just looking at all that. That's what I will consider a quality season, because playoffs, no. I mean, look, if you put $5 down on the Coyotes making the playoffs and you don't value your $5, it's like a 2% chance maybe you'll get a return, but I wouldn't bet on playoffs this year.
Oh man! So with all the Arizona Coyotes merch you have right now, do you have anything signed? Do you have a treasured memento? Do you have anything to show off?
Well, I don't wear pants when I record. This office is too hot, but the little jersey back there. The first one I ever got on my birthday, April 8th, 2007. Shane Doan actually got down on one knee, proposed and everything, but go ahead and sign it for me while I was wearing it. The jersey directly behind me. I think it's just a blank. I got it at a sports cards shop for about $40, and it's just all the players that I grew up watching. I think Peter Mueller, Mikhail Bodker, Keith Yandel, Derek Morris, just a bunch of the old guys. And then I had a lot of signed stuff. My dad used to work at the arena, so I decided I was going to get rid of all my stuff when I moved out after high school, and I've been slowly buying some of it back from the pawn shop that still has it a decade later.
My last
And here we
question.
are.
My last question before I roll out of here, because as soon as Evan's kid stops crying, mine just starts winding up right now. Being a dad, dude, is a fucking nonstop job. But if if you can decide uniform wise what y'all are gonna roll with for the rest of your life, would you do the retro purple, green, and whites, or would you do this current red?
I mean, I grew up with the Howling Coyotes, so the jersey you see directly behind me right here, I would have gone with that permanently, but the Kachina is clean, so I'll just take whatever Coyotes jersey they give me. Bring back the green one full time. I know the purple
Yes.
reverse retro is beautiful, but the green
Yeah.
one is still where it's at, and they're kind of doing that, allegedly. Maybe.
And I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think hockey jerseys are the most diverse jerseys to wear. Like you can wear them the casual fit, sporting fit, of course. Like just out
I
going
like the
to a bar.
hoodies that are like the
Yeah,
jerseys, you know?
Mhm.
yeah, those two. I think hockey jerseys are just overall the best jersey you could possibly buy. I think it goes hockey, baseball, NFL than NBA, because not everybody wants to wear a thick tank top. So, but Izzy Sports Guy, I appreciate you hopping on the podcast. We don't cover a lot of Coyote stuff, but Evan knows a lot more about hockey and shit. I can't even roller skate, let alone ice skate. So, but yeah, shout out to you. Thank you for hopping on, Evan. I got a dip. Thank you
Do
for
your
everybody for
thing.
joining. I'll catch you later, Sonia. But have a good night, everybody. Stay blessed and finish off the week strong. Go Cardinals.
Go Cardinals. That's right.
See you guys.
Man, Matthew, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I have been, let me tell you my little history with the NHL, right?
All
So,
right.
my grandpa taught me about hockey, lived in Michigan, a huge Red Wings fan. I watched the Red Wings and Devils go at it for the 96, 97, or 98 playoffs. There's two of them back to back. Really got into it. And then Arizona gets a team, and all the old heads with Kachuk, Roenick, Dallas Drake, Teppo, all those dudes, they come in, and we just never get over the hump, right? For years and years, never get over the hump. Lose to the Blues twice, get 3-1 leads, and we blow those in playoffs. I mean, there was like a 14 or 15 game streak that we were unbeaten while we were there. And you're watching the games on WB 61 way back in the day. And then unfortunately, I moved to Michigan as a high schooler, and I can't watch the games every single day. But then you get the NHL blackout, or you get the lockout way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game just continues to become less accessible, I think would be the correct term. And the NHL just couldn't get out of their way for a while, right? Now they're back on ESPN. They're out there. I really want to watch more hockey because I love the game, but I don't know much about this unit coming up. Now we just had a top draft pick. Am I right?
Yep, number 3 overall, Logan Cooley, this absolute stud that while he's playing in college will not be playing for ASU, unfortunately, but does get to go up against Josh Doan and your Arizona State Sun Devils. It's sometime this season. I don't have it written down, but I might have to overpay for a second, market ticket on that one because it's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch that too. I'm excited to watch them in the ASU stadium. I've gone on record saying that I think this is a good thing that they play in the arena. I think they're going to be able to create a young vibe, a college vibe, and they're going to be able to do something unique. And it's not going to be like the Chargers did it in Los Angeles, right? When they played at, I think StubHub Center was what it's called, the soccer stadium. This is going to be a 5,000 person arena with a roof over it, and I think it's going to be loud. And I think ultimately we're going to be creating a vibe. So when the new Scottsdale Arena opens up X amount of years, 3-4 seasons from now, that's going to be to sell out very quickly. What are your thoughts just on them playing in the arena? Do you think I'm spot on with that assessment, or what do you think?
Oh no, 100% wrong. You said Scottsdale and not Tempe. Messing with you. Just take it a little.
No, they're going to build the new stadium in Scottsdale. The new Coyotes stadium.
Oh, the new arena, the proposal's in Tempe, and I really, really freaking hope that happens. But no, I actually, no one's watching this for me, so I actually got to tour the Mullet Arena today, and it is just a phenomenal building, and I cannot wait to watch hockey in it. Just for the rookie tournament, just this little rookie mini camp, like 200 or some odd of us, which I got to have a little bit of a fun because my audience is bigger than the audience they had in that little arena. But it was, the ice den for rookie game. They had these rowdy college kids like kicking, slapping the glass or whatever. That's going to be the entire, I think it's the west end of this building, just an entire college student section. And the vibe is going to be awesome. There's nothing better than drunk college kids screaming at their team because it's probably better than watching ASU football right now. No offense, I love the Sun Devils, but let's go.
No offense taken.
So no, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really good. The ticket sales are already up. It's closer to where the actual the people with the money that go and buy the season tickets already closer to where they're at. So you already know they're going to be selling out right now. They're going to be selling out in the future. And then when everyone else is like, wait, there's something going on over here, and there's another 10,000 seats, let's go check it out. So no, I think it's a really, really good move. Or it's a holdover until the Robert Sarver thing happened. Marulo can buy the Suns, flip them, but just have them play in the Suns arena for a couple of years. That's my big brain move.
Ooh, there we go. I like that. So what are some of the players that we need to be looking out for this year that we need to watch? Who's going to be our top goal scorers, assist guys? How are defensemen looking? Things along those lines. Talk to me.
Defense looking pretty rough, mainly because there's a lot of inexperience, or we had a lot of the veteran guys leave, and hopefully some of the younger kids can step up. But also, you sign a bunch of free agents that some are just trying to get a new foothold in the NHL. Like I don't want to, go to Europe yet, or go to any minor league. So just take an NHL job. But I think on defense, Janus Moser, a really solid shutdown defensive defenseman that also surprisingly had some depth scoring on him. Keep an eye on Victor Soderstrom. Hopefully he can finally start to establish himself as an NHL level defenseman, but maybe he stays in Tucson this year. Offensively, Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller has 30 goals. Calling it right now. I think Keller's going to be the leading scorer. Hopefully Schmaltz can put up around 30 assists or so, and they just go on that first line. But really keep an eye on guys like Jack McBain and Nathan Smith. Picked them up around the trade deadline last year. They looked pretty good at the end of the season, but this rookie camp / rookie tournament that just happened, they were men among boys. It was a huge difference. It was like me playing toddlers. I think both these guys are going to have, if not 20 goals, right around 20 goals. I think it's just big step forward for some of the young talent in the organization. Those are the guys I'm looking for offensively. And hopefully Ivan Prozatov as a backup goalie can actually get some decent opportunities and play more than just 3 games this year.
So what's our realistic expectations then for the Coyotes? Are we going to be a playoff team yet? Are we fighting for that? If we were 8th, if we got the 8th seed, would that be a miraculous season for this team?
Yeah, that would be miraculous. I mean, I said it last year because you saw with Vegas, that expansion team, players react differently to essentially being thrown away. The amount of players that got traded to Arizona last offseason for nothing.
Yeah.
I thought something similar could have happened. Not guaranteed, but I wouldn't have been surprised. It didn't happen, but they still hit 25 wins, more than a lot of people saw them hitting. And this year, I want at least 3 to 5 more wins. I want to see some improvement. Going to the playoffs would be a little unrealistic. They're not quite there where they're going to be competing for the second wild card or anything, but as long as you get a few more wins, I know a lot of Coyotes fans really want the #1 overall. But it took the Suns like 52 years to get a #1 overall.
Yeah.
It took the Cardinals 20 some odd.
10 years of trash seasons too.
Like the Arizona sports do not get #1 overall picks. And also, as much as I really like DeAndre Ayton and as much as I both like and hate on Kyler Murray, #1 overall picks are not guaranteed. So why not have some improvements, get a top 5 pick, get a really good player, develop them, and just keep building the core. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping for 30 wins. Maybe 30 is a little much, but anywhere between 3 to 5 more wins than last year.
So everything just came out with the city of Glendale, and this stuff like really happened fast. They got booted out quickly. Then you hear about the council members and things that are going on there, yada, yada. I mean, fast forward, this team didn't have an actual owner for like 2 or 3 different times in this team's history since being in Glendale.
Mhm.
They have a little stability at the ownership. Talk to us about Alex Marullo. Is that the correct term? How you pronounce
It's
it?
either Marullo or Maruello, but I am terrible with pronunciation, so I always say
Yeah.
Marullo.
So what are your thoughts on him and the current ownership group, the vision going forward? Are we on the right track? Can I start being a Coyotes fan again?
Should have always been a Coyotes fan. Come on now. If you're not cheering for them at their worst, you don't deserve them at their best. But no, I think with how his money is, and it's all in Vegas casinos, he's got the pockets. I have no concerns about. The only reason that there'd be any concern is if he's like, it's not working, I'm just going to sell him. He hasn't said anything like that. So you got your stability there. I don't know him as a guy. I've heard conflicting reports, and for the most part, what I'm going to assume is somewhere in the middle where he is someone that was kind of no nonsense to get rid of the previous regime, administration, however you want to define them. But whenever John Chaika left, and it was a pretty toxic workplace reportedly, and it also kind of makes sense why your new owner comes in, sees how bad it is, he's going to be a hard ass because he wants to start cleaning house and moving forward. So the fact that Shane Doan came back to the organization, and even though he wants to take a step back right now to spend more time with his family, he's still an active employee, he's still involved with the team. As long as Donor's involved, he wouldn't get involved with the wrong people. Donor ain't going to associate himself with garbage individuals, because when Chaika was here, Donor wasn't. So regardless of what may or may not be true about Marullo, which I'm still iffy on, the money is stable. The culture, at the very least, is going in the right direction. It looks like they're trying to build this team properly from within through the draft, as well as trying to improve their player development. And as long as they keep going in that direction, within 4 years, they'll be competing for playoffs. So I think right now is the right time to get to know this core, because as soon as Chikrin's gone, I think every other young player under 25, that's going to be your core moving forward.
4 years. That's frustrating to hear, but I get it. What does this team need to do to accelerate that then? Do we need to see do we need to see a ridiculous amount of growth from these young guys in the next 2 seasons?
I would say if every current young player stays about the same rate of growth, all you need is Dylan Gunther to come in next season and be just as good as he is in, I think it's the CHL he's playing in, or the WHL specifically. It's under the CHL umbrella. And then Logan Cooley to only take 1 year in college, come in and immediately be an impact player. So it's just the way they're building it is just unfortunately going to take time. I still think that with the amount of young talent, it could boom essentially at any moment. It just depends on whenever everyone finally goes into full gear with the right coaching staff. I mean, I think Tournier is a phenomenal coach, really knows how to get with these young players. So it's just the only way to really accelerate it is to either get lucky and everything starts clicking and booming, or you got a Spicy Dill and Logan Cooley coming in a couple years early and just taking over the league, which I don't want to rush them. So I'll be patient, and I'll let the Scottsdale residents fill out that building for the next couple of years.
Nice. I and you kind of touched on it for a second there. Andre Tournier, the Arizona Coyotes coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's still weird. I still want to say Phoenix Coyotes. That's what I was born with. Thoughts on him?
I love his attitude, because this team was not good last year. I think it was the second time, at least in the last 5 years or 6 years, they started off 0-11. I think it was 0-9-2 or something, but no wins in the first 11 games. And the fact that no matter how outplayed they got, because the talent just simply wasn't there at the level that they needed to compete, those guys went out there, they worked hard every night, and they were willing to essentially run through a brick wall for their coach. And it takes a special kind of voice there. You actually got to see offensive improvements. I think the defense still needs a little bit of work, but even the power play got a little bit more efficient. You saw a little more positive momentum and good possessions with some decent shot opportunities. Again, a lot of room for improvement, but when you're seeing immediate impacts, you're seeing players that are willing to run through walls for their coach. You're seeing Clayton Keller on a 30-goal pace, and the only reason he didn't hit 30 goals was because I think he blew a tire and literally snapped his leg. That is the only reason we didn't have a 30-goal scorer last year. I think he brings a lot positively to the table, especially with young players and on the offensive side. And I think they're doing a good job with a couple of assistant coaches, hopefully improving the other aspects. I just think he's the right voice at the right time, and I really hope he's here for the long haul.
Who do you think is the Coyotes' oldest player on the roster currently?
Oldest player, Andrew Ladd. I think he's 37 or 38, but he's going on IR this year. He's not going to play. So, just trying to remember if there's anyone else, like, because a lot of contracts expired last year. I think it would be Shane Gostisbehere, who's like 34, or Andrew Ladd, who's around 37.
He's a left winger. I'm looking at the roster right now. He's a left winger. Does that help?
You got his jersey number?
21.
Wait, is it Louis Eriksson is in Europe now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, King Louis is in Sweden, I think, because I really wanted to bring him back because I'm like, dude, it's King Louis. Come on now. I even have his Adidas jersey sitting right over here.
How many jerseys do you have? What is the number? Do we have a number, or do you just not want to know?
My last count, I think I got rid of some of like the Fanatics basketball jerseys I was getting at Ross just to pad it out. Last number I had was 160.
Ooh, boy, oh boy.
Terrified to recount. It's just hockey. All Arizona hockey teams on the left, all NHL teams on the right. I have a hall closet full of the other Arizona teams and like a Baker Mayfield jersey and a couple like miscellaneous jerseys sitting in the closet.
My most obscure jersey is a Tennessee Titans Eddie George dark blue jersey, a dark blue Titans jersey. So that's my most obscure jersey. What's your most obscure?
It has to be either one of my Arizona Sundogs jerseys sitting over there. I got one that has an all-star patch on it. I got the beautifully ugly 90s Roadrunners jersey. Do you want me to just go ahead and just grab it real quick and just show you?
I love the Road. Yes, please give me some Roadrunners. Anybody doesn't know those Phoenix Roadrunners. That was fun back in the day. It kind of reminds me of, anybody know what was the Phoenix Firebirds? If anybody saw the Phoenix Firebirds in the early 90s, that was the shit. But I'm excited to see this one right here.
This one, I forget how much I paid. I think I got a surprisingly good deal. So I'm just going to say I paid $50 because it's been a while. This gorgeous, hideously ugly, like cartoon Roadrunner.
Wow.
And I freaking needed it. When I saw it, I'm like, I had the money in my bank account. What else am I going to spend it on? And that went home. That
is glorious. All right. That is one of the more obscure jerseys I've ever seen, behind the Savannah Bananas, the minor league baseball team that has kind of been making the rounds on social media, if anybody's seen that. What are some of the storylines we need to be following for this year's Coyotes? Is there any storylines either with a player or the team in general that we really need to be following, other than obviously playing in the damn college stadium?
I would definitely say I'll follow McBain, follow Smith, because I think those guys are probably going to hit some sort of boom season this year. But in terms of other storylines, maybe seeing if Ivan Prosvetov can establish himself as an NHL level goaltender and take over the backup spot. I would definitely say looking to just see if they can build on any of that momentum from last year as a team, just to see if this team is going to start making those, again, 3 to 5 more wins, just those noticeable improvements this year, or if it ends up stalling out and there's a step back. Because if there's a step back, even though you got some veterans in here so you don't have to rush the kids up, it still would be a little bit of, it would make me have to ask some questions. And I'm not saying a couple less wins, like 22, 23 at plus or minus 5 wins is fine. But if they're like sub 20 this year, I think that would be a really interesting story. Or if they're right around 30 wins, and just either way, we're seeing a step forward or step back for the entire team. And then just, McBain Smith really are going to be like my biggest storylines going into it.
Okay, so final question, and then I want to give you a plug to where everybody can reach you. I've really loved having you on, and as we progress through the Arizona Coyotes season, definitely want to chat more. The Arizona Coyotes will win 32 games if.
Ooh, all right, I love this. All right, the Arizona Coyotes will win 32 games if Clayton Keller scores 30 goals, McBain and Smith pot at least 20, and we get a couple of these kids in Tucson just force some veterans out of the lineup, and we start to see this roster blossoming a little early.
Well, I'm going to be watching more games this year. I probably won't be watching all of them. I'm sorry, Coyotes fans. I know. But I had to cut something out when I was up in Michigan, and you couldn't watch the NHL ever. It was the NHL's fault. They got me out of it. Don't blame me. I'm going to be following along this year. I would love to have you come on more. Where can everybody reach you, follow you, and all that fun stuff and interact with you?
If you want to follow me, I'm normally trash talking Canadian hockey fans on Twitter at the AZ Sports Guy. I'm also on YouTube, AZ Sports Guy, and then as a meme, California Sports Talk, because I had to separate hockey and non-hockey stuff. So 2 separate channels, and then of course I have a Arizona Sports or Arizona Hockey specifically podcast, the Desert Moon Hockey Podcast on Spotify, Apple, whatever, and also has its own YouTube channel. So I'm kind of just everywhere, really.
And you were ever there where there are jersey sales, right? So whenever the jersey sale goes up in the valley, you were
He's
there.
on fire!
Also, right as the season's getting ready to start, if you guys want cheap NHL jerseys, check the NHL website, Fanatics, eBay, stuff like that, because old stock traded players, I got a Johnny Hockey jersey for like $70, are starting to go on sale. They want to get rid of it. So this is the time, or dead of off season. If you're looking for jersey collecting, I'm assuming it's the same with basketball, baseball, football, but right now is probably the best time as they're trying to get rid of the last of the old stock.
I've decided my next 2 jerseys are the Arizona State baseball Tequila Sunrise baseball jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one's going to be an old school Arizona Coyotes jersey. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the white or the black one yet, but I'm going to get one of them. Man, thank you so much for coming on. Let's have you on again. Let's chop it up. We'll talk soon. All right, Matthew?
All right. See you, Coach.
Later. It's been a while since I actually got to talk hockey. I used to play hockey all the time. Nobody knows this. I used to play hockey. I was the kid in Arizona in 110 degrees with the blades on down by Mojave Middle School playing hockey by myself because nobody else wanted to. I loved hockey. My grandpa taught me hockey. And when I moved to Michigan, it was a shame that I couldn't watch it anymore. And they took the NHL off of like the ESPN networks. You couldn't watch it anywhere. It is a wonderful game. And honestly, they got some of the best movies out there as well, too. Who doesn't like the Mighty Ducks? Who doesn't like Miracle? All that fun stuff. I'm looking forward to Arizona Coyote hockey at Arizona State Stadium Arena. Oceanside, I forget what it's called. That doesn't matter. But you know what we got to talk about next? We got to talk about the Arizona State what Devils?
Man.
Lot of WTF moments the past few nights here, Jay Nes. And we have the one, the only, the president. We need to have like a dun, da, 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 whenever you come on. We need that whenever you come on, Jay Nes. But welcome, President, CEO,
What's going on, Coach?
GM, ASAP Sports. We got to talk some Arizona State stuff. You messaged me 2 weeks ago during the NAU game, or maybe it was the OK State game. You're like, yo, we need to do a podcast. We need to do this. I was like, the fuck we need to do a podcast for on these dudes. I don't want to be talking about Herm Edwards and all this stuff. And now Herm gets fired. He got fired. Let's be real. But then there's reports coming up from Doug Haller and The Athletic. He writes an article saying that our plays, our information was easily attainable. Saying like coaches could have been given this out. Maybe it was kids. They were sabotaging it. I can't help but think about what happened last year, like especially during the Wazoo game. There's a lot to get into. You wake up Sunday morning, you're getting a coffee, you're getting ready to watch Cardinals Raiders. Herm Edwards gets the can.
So that's the other thing too. That's the other thing too, because there's also the thing where there's the video of them meeting in the end zone after the game and saying that he actually got canned in the end zone. So
the person that took that, who runs 247 Sports, Chris Cartman, he said he took the video. They did not say that because he was within ear's length, and they do that after every single game.
I did see them do that at the NAU game, so that is something. But look,
the optics
we talked
aren't
about
good,
it.
though.
No, it's not. It's not. But Coach, I mean, we've talked about this through, me and you. What's up, Sonia? Me and you talked about this back and forth a few times. It's good to be back too. Two things here. Your whole coaching staff gets accused of cheating, basically. like the entire coaching staff, and you're the only one with a clean slate out of it. To me, that's weird. That's a weird situation where everyone in this room they've pretty much confessed at this point to cheating, except you. So then a lot of those guys left, and now you're still there. You're in the locker room still. Everyone still sees those allegations. You've lost, which me and you've talked about this as well, with Jaden leaving and then Emery coming. Even though I like Emery, I really do like Emery, and we'll get to the offense and stuff later. But it's just you lost the locker room type of thing,
and you lost about 16 players transferring out.
Right. You lost the whole locker room, and you don't have. And to me, as a coach coming in, I'm gonna feel like, well, what was it that was really going on, to where everyone got in trouble but you, where everyone wanted to either leave or get fired or some have you, but you're the only one that came around with a clean slate. So it's not far-fetched to hear that signals were getting sold, plays were getting sold. It's not far-fetched to hear that. I mean, it's crazy.
I haven't heard it before. Have you heard this in sports?
When
was the last time you heard coaches coming out and sabotaging their program because they want to change?
No, never.
This is fucking groundbreaking is what we're talking about here, dude. This is like such a like beyond what it means inside the institution for the basic level of sport. What they did
for the competition matter, for all the guys that you dealt with that were in those locker rooms at that time that were trying to win the game.
For us, for fans, you covered it for ASAP Sports, for at the NAU game. We're fans too. I mean, we've talked to players on this podcast before, current players and old players, right? We buy their jerseys, we buy their stuff. I almost went to school there. They just didn't happen to have audio production, which is something I love, or else I would have gone there because I grew up right next to the stadium, seeing all the fireworks go off and being like, "What's that?"
Big old A on the mountain.
That's what would Michael Jordan say if he heard one of his coaches did that or a player did that?
Well, and okay, so now let me raise this question: Is that Ryan's cue?
What do you mean?
Do we need to go on a new like from top to bottom? Do we need to clear it out from top to bottom?
Hey, straight up, look, Michael Crow is 66 years old. At what point does he retire? And you need a new vision. And then that's not Ray Anderson isn't buddy all of a sudden with him, right? And then you get a new AD.
I did say Ryan, but yeah, Ray.
But, and then you get a new coach. Look, it needs to be from top to bottom, but it needs to be a makeover from top to bottom. Like, you got to change your whole thought process. And that ain't going to come from Michael Crow, because when you're stuck in your old ways, you're stuck in your old ways, man. The NFL model, and here's the crazy thing about the NFL model that they tried, bro. It almost worked. Where were we right before the pandemic? Right before the pandemic hit?
We were there. But again, did the NFL model almost work? Or were we just cutting corners and making it look a little, you know what I mean? Like,
they were doing so. I've heard from Ralph Amsden and a couple other podcasts that I've been trying to cram in because there's so much information with the Sarver stuff coming out too that you got to keep out on. Like, apparently they were just going willy-nilly left and right like it's the Wild West and cheating everywhere here, recruiting violation there. They were doing all this stuff, and everybody
it looked like it. When they were unraveled all the allegations and the way they were happening, it looked like they were just out there like, F it.
They were offering 450 scholarships and getting like 30 kids. Like, that is an ungodly amount of scholarships that they were offering. They were doing some weird shit. And you mean to tell me Herm didn't know about it?
And that's where I feel like he lost everything. That's where I feel like we're seeing the struggle as deep as we have. It's in the off season. On the field is on the field. These guys are, we've like you said, we've talked to a few of different players along the way. These guys, once they get on the field, you can't stop them. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. You know what I mean? They're still trying to
This is their
succeed
livelihood, their family
right,
reputation, their family name. Yeah.
right. Now, but the off season, it's clear as day. Me and you talked about it all. What did they do this off season? What happened? And this was a clear reflection of the last off season and this off season before that. So, it has to. Now, I will say this as a positive. You know, the only positive that I will say is Shaun. Getting him
Yes.
a chance is going to be great because, he's a native.
He's heating up.
He coached out here in Chandler, for 7 years. He was successful there at that level.
McKeel Harry, Chase Lucas, some of his top recruits.
Right. And see, here's the thing, Coach. What do we always talk about when we talk about ASU recruiting? About
The state of Arizona.
Right, how poorly they do at home.
Thank you. Thank you, Kit. I want to make this very clear about in-state recruiting, and a lot of people on Twitter don't think it's as important. I get it. There are bigger fish to fry. You've got more 5-stars in Florida, Texas, California than here in Arizona. Totally understand that argument, right? Here's the thing. From 2010 to 2013, the University of South Carolina Gamecocks football team had 3 seasons of 11-2, and they won the SEC West one year, or the SEC East, excuse me. In 2010, this was under Steve Spurrier. 2010, their top recruit in the state of South Carolina, who USC was able to get, you know who it was?
2010?
2010, you know who it was? Marcus Lattimore, running back. Nasty running back. Dude had skills. 2011, number 1 recruit coming out of the state of South Carolina. Do you know who it was? USC wrangled them in too. Jadeveon Clowney. Back-to-back years, USC got the top recruits in their own state. Plus, there was a graphic where they had like the 3rd, the 5th, the 8th, and the 11th, 12th, and 13th recruits. They had like 6 or 7 out of the top 15 recruits, including the top. And what happened? 3 straight years of 11-2, winning big bowl games, Gator Bowl, Capital One Bowl, winning the SEC West. And South Carolina hasn't done anything since then. But they started with in-state recruiting in a smaller state with not as many recruits as you, I think, have in Arizona now. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating.
But, I mean, you look at this. If I go back, I mean, to me, here's the thing. I'm just going to pull up a random year. 2019. We had 1, 2, let me see. 1. So we had Spencer was our only 5-star. But then we had 1, 2,
and we had Jaden Daniels at that point, so we're not really recruiting quarterback, right? So that's one part.
5. We had 5 4-star recruits and one 5-star recruit in 2019. We got 0. Mm-hmm. And that is a problem. Anybody can say whatever they want about in-state recruiting, and if Oklahoma is coming over here and grabbing our 5-star recruit quarterback and he's starting that next year, there's no one out here that can tell me that in-state recruiting is not important. There's absolutely no way you can explain to me how we could have had our starting team right here with a recruitment class. They had an offensive tackle, a tight end, a nose, an end, a corner, and a wide receiver, and a quarterback.
One of those dudes, if I'm not mistaken, was probably Keely Ringo.
No, not as a 4-star.
Starting safety for Georgia, national champion.
That might have been the year before.
Oh, okay. Still though.
Right. But
Dude,
still,
Business Economics 101. It is cheaper and easier to retain clients, and it's more expensive to get new ones. So get the people in your hometown that have roots there, right? And 9 times out of 10, they're probably Sun Devil fans too, right? So, I mean,
and but that's the other thing too. If we look at Alabama, if we look at Georgia, they have guys like Spencer on the bench waiting to come up. They have the next in line already in the program. And that's something that we have always lacked. I
we've never
always
had that.
believed, no, we never had the next in line at quarterback.
Berkovici's the only one.
And he wasn't even, and that was actually just because he wanted to come here. Just period. He just wanted to come here.
And a 5th-year senior, right? So,
right. So, but again, even when you looked at like our running back positions, we're always bringing in the next guy after that guy leaves. We're never just like, this is him. Watch when you know what I mean? Watch when he leaves. When when Harry left, it wasn't like, this is the next guy. He passed the torch. And when we do get, good guys out here, Brandon Ayuk, N'Keal Harry, we cram it down their throats because we don't recruit. Eno, we were riding Eno. We were riding Eno. And again, it's because we don't recruit the same way these other schools do. You think of a school like USC, and I'll tell you, and this will show you exactly how important in state recruiting is. USC will have 3 or 4 4-star recruits that will just, oh no, I'm going to USC, because they're born and raised in California and they don't want to leave, and they don't have to because USC is a reputable school. So they're just automatic. The USC don't have to do anything. They're just there. And then they can go out and say, you know what? We got 2 wide receivers, guys. We got 2 deep threats, outside threats. Let's go get a slot guy. Let's go find us a really fast slot guy from Florida. Now they're in Florida. They're in Alabama. There's specialty recruiting at this point. So it means a lot. Like, you look at Oregon. You look at break down the Pac-12. If you break down the Pac-12, you can clearly see Oregon
Washington gets all the Washington guys.
Man.
And Wazoo does not, right? Oregon gets the Oregon guys and Oregon State does not.
And that's the
yeah.
The proof is in the pudding.
And I want to go a step further now. We all wanted Todd Graham gone. We all wanted Herm Edwards gone. We get what we want, Sun Devil Nation. Remember June Jones almost getting hired, and then he got fired because of the outrage of Sun Devil Nation. Look, man, Sun Devil Nation's got to show up.
Yeah.
They have to. And what Shaun Aguano said, it takes a village. Bro, this is part of it. You want to get those 5-star dudes to stay home, you have to show out. Now is the time to support the program. Even if you don't like Shaun Aguano, fine. He probably doesn't care. What about the kids? Support them, the ones that are putting on the jersey for the product that you are repping on your shirt at the games, right?
And
it does take a village. It takes a village, and if you want to stop being the sleeping giant, then show up to the games like Clemson, like that fan base. Show up like Virginia Tech. Did you see Virginia Tech tonight coming out to Enter the Sandman? It was all over ESPN and on social media. Like, show the fuck up. Like, shut up. Sun Devil Nation has been bitching about everything they could since the 96 Rose Bowl team.
Yep.
And they still haven't showed up. But they want to complain. They want to take to social media and complain, but then be like, it's more comfortable at home in my chair than it is at the game. No, bullshit. Then stop. It's like, to me, it's like voting. You want to complain about our presidential candidate, then go out and vote. Oh, you don't vote? Dude, shut the fuck up then. You get what you get. You don't take part in it. And that's the way I feel about Sun Devil Nation. I go when I can. I haven't lived there in 20 years. I've gone to 7 or 8 games since I've been here in Utah that I could travel home for. And every time they're up here in Utah, I go to baseball. I'll go to the gymnastics meets because my wife's dad has season tickets. I go to every basketball game that they're here, every football game. I take that back. I missed one because I was sick. Excuse me for that one. Show the fuck up. And
Right.
it's embarrassing to watch games of the team that I love on TV in the 5th largest market, and they can't show up, and those stands are half empty all the time, Jay Nes. I think a lot of the blame can be put on Sun Devil Nation too, because if we had people showing up for every single game the past 15 years with all this that we've gone through, and we looked like Clemson, and we could pinstripe the stands, which we can't do because nobody can even freaking wear gold when they come. It says wear gold. They don't do it. We're having a blackout. There's douchebags wearing gold then, right? They can't even do it correctly when they do show up. Part of it, we can talk about how hard it is to tailgate there and how ASU does get in their own way. But if you want to support and you want to be there, you will do it. So part of me thinks that if we were still showing up, we would be in a way better position now than we were, or than we are now. Excuse me. Does that make sense? So if
100%.
Sun Devil Nation showed up and filled that place up to 100% capacity, despite whatever else was going on, our financials would look a lot better. We might have even gotten an invite to the Big 10 or the Big 12 by now or something like that. But no, Sun Devil Nation choose to whine, bitch, and complain over every aspect of social media and not show up to the games, which looks horrible on TV.
You know how
Horrible.
great of a rivalry we have with ASU and U of A, and us as a fan base does not take advantage of it. And the way I mean by that is, if you look at like a Michigan, Ohio State, a Michigan State, you look at, even when Michigan messes around and plays, I don't know, you just look at other
Michigan, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State,
Iowa State, is a big one. You think
Minnesota
about those
versus
games
Wisconsin
is a big one. Northwestern, and a few. So I mean, but
Northwestern, Illinois, yeah.
if you look at those rivalries, I can walk you through the Michigan Ohio State entrance. I can walk you through how that feels. And I ain't seen it in a couple. Probably I don't really watch it last year, so I ain't seen it in a couple years.
Oh, it was glorious.
But I can walk you through it because that's how intense that stadium is for that rivalry on both sides. You look at USC. Even when USC and UCLA hook up, is booming. The stadium has a different type of electricity. If we went to high schools of these players and they're freshmen coming in before they get the gloat and the glamour of what the high school gives them, they start getting all the, let's go check out and see where you're going to go. And they start getting the invitations and they start touching base at all these other colleges. If we were able to go to them as a freshman and say, top 5 bucket list games, top 5, schools that you would want to go see a game in, and ASU was on those lists, we would get more of these people. We would get more of these recruits, but we're not bringing that energy.
And that's something that a coach or an AD can't bring.
They can help.
It helps. It helps. But when you're getting new coaches every 5 to 6 years, we have to be the ones to do it. We have to be the ones to represent what we love in our school.
We wanted Herm. Herm just fucked us.
I was on the fence about Herm. I think I was excited. I think I was on the train, but look, man, I'm on Aguano Island right now. Aloha, baby. I'm on Aguano Island. It takes a village. And did you see what he posted today on social media?
About, getting everybody together and getting them out there to the games. And
no, not that one. Hold on, baby. I got you. You're gonna love this. It goes to what you were talking about. Boom. I'm gonna share my screen right here. He put this out today. Tomorrow night, he's gonna go to the Saguaro Chaparral game in Basha versus Moon Valley. He's going out and he's recruiting. This is how you do it, Herman L. Edwards. L as in loss. Todd Graham, remember one time he took a helicopter around? I think he went frozen over there, which is fine. Yeah, he went frozen. Todd Graham took a helicopter around one time, I remember. And that was a big thing. I don't understand why it's so hard for these Arizona State coaches to not finally go out and recruit their home state. I don't remember Dennis Erickson really doing it. I don't remember Cutter doing it very much. I mean, Rudy Carpenter was a California guy. This ain't hard. We are from Arizona. We love the state of Arizona. We love being in Arizona. We love our Arizona sports teams. We love our Arizona sports players, our high schoolers that go and stay home. We love DJ Foster. This isn't hard, man. Recruit in state and don't break the damn rules. And everything that Herm said that he was just pisses me off even more, because you can say he's a good man, he's this and that, and that's fine, but bruh, he cheated. And he's getting ASU close to the death penalty sooner or later. He cheated, and he screwed this school over left and right.
You know, that does kind of lead me to, you know, I wanted to kind of get at the offense and the defense a little bit, because it makes more sense looking at this. I mean, we're down bad, and it's crazy for me to say that because Emory Jones looks good. X-Valade looks good.
Elijah Badger looks good.
I was just gonna say we got a couple receivers. Badger looks good. But now that makes more sense. If those allegations that are coming out of them selling plays and things like that, it makes more sense because Emory's not out there throwing interceptions. He's not. He's not out there. It's not like he's out there making big mistakes. It's just like they know where we're going with the ball. So when we, you know, when they do the catch, there's no room for yak. There's no room for any of that. So
maybe Jaden Daniels wasn't all that bad. He just had no place to go, so we had to run quicker.
No, Jaden Daniels.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Have you watched him in LSU yet?
He looks the exact same.
He looks worse. He looks like he has too much stuff going on, and he doesn't know how to tie it in. I don't know if the playbook's that much extensive or just different, and he's just having some time tying it all together. But he looks worse. He's running earlier in the plays to me. I mean, I don't know. And that was one thing. Me watching the first two games with LSU and watching Jaden and then watching Emory, I was kind of confident in Herm because I was like, okay, Herm got Emory a little bit more prepared. You know, but for on the season so far after 3 games, you know, Emory has 557 yards passing on with 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. I'm okay with that. I would want some more yardage.
It's a whole different season now, bro. I think everything that we saw him before is gone, just from the reports that we're getting, that they're running a whole lot more in practice. Everything's faster, quicker pace. I think it's just I don't know if we're going to be able to compare what we saw before to now. You know what I mean? I'm curious to see if we run no huddle or if we're going to be huddling after every single play. I'm really curious about that.
I mean, we got this team speed and the athletic players to run a no huddle offense, to run that quick, constant, you know, and we have enough running backs. We have enough wide receivers. We can switch them in and out and keep them fresh and use that as an advantage eventually against the defense. And which I thought we should have been doing all the time.
Yeah, we should have. We should have been doing that the last 5 years, but
right.
But why not use that?
Why not use that to our advantage? Especially you go up against a team. Now, I'll tell you what, Oklahoma speed, they blew us out the water with their play calling.
It is college football, and that's what you have to do. And how many times did Herm say, I know what we have to do to win. We got to throw more, and we got to run X amount of plays, and he just never did it. Like, it's not science. We know. We saw it with Mike Norvell. Yeah, there was questionable play calls with Mike Norvell, right? There was like, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? But we saw the speed, and that's when we turned into a college football team, in my opinion, and we look damn good doing that. But now you got Mike Norvell at Florida State doing things with Johnny Wilson. You got Ricky Pearsall under Billy Napier, right? And they're doing things. That stuff is frustrating to watch, man. That's frustrating as hell.
Florida State looks good, unfortunately. They look
Florida
good
kind of
offensively.
took a nosedive. What about this report? Danny Gonzalez, former defensive coordinator for us, who's at New Mexico, or is it New Mexico State? I forget. He's the head coach over there now. He was kind of the coach in waiting, right? He was the next coach after Herm Edwards, but he left. In 2020, everybody said after Danny Gonzalez left, the hustle, the energy, all that stuff was just down in 2020, and it just sucked the life out of the building. What are your thoughts on that? Have you heard that before? I just read it today in an article.
I haven't heard that exact phrase, but it makes sense. I mean, 2020, we have not had that energy, and I'll tell you, Graham, one thing about Todd was our team was energized. Our team was ready to play. Our team, when we hit the field, I felt like we were there. Like, boom, okay, we're on the field. It's time for ball. I don't feel that right now. I haven't felt that with our
Camp
Herm
Fargo.
team.
Remember Camp Fargo? Students were posting up tents the Tuesday before a game around Wells Fargo Arena.
Yeah, and that's the energy that I don't care what nobody says about Todd. That team, those teams that were under Todd were full of energy, and they played and they put that on the field. Herm, being at even opening day, like even though it was opening day and you get that opening day energy because everybody's so excited to be back and everybody's just happy, like, yeah, it's, game one, we're about to come out. It still didn't feel like a boom. It still didn't give me that,
No.
oh man, I'm at a Sun Devil Stadium. So I'm hoping that with Shaun, and again, like you said when you brought up that clip earlier with Shaun talking about he's going out to some games. We have a boy right now, a young man that's he plays for Desert Edge. He's a quarterback. He's a sophomore. He's bad. These are the type of guys we should be sitting in the stands watching right now. These are we could take a tour. There's some bad boys right now in the high school level in Arizona. We're getting better every year. Every single year, our recruiting classes in Arizona are getting better.
Yeah, Arizona high school football is blowing up, man.
Yeah, and that's where Herm, you're right. I think when you said that's where Herm missed the boat with this team. With the name that he brought to the team, with the community being where we were as a community for this team at the time when he came in, I think that he missed the boat. He missed the boat by not connecting with the people.
Something that Todd Graham was able to do. Unfortunately, after 4 or 5 seasons, it sounded more like a used car salesman type of pitch, right? And that didn't change, but we also didn't have sustained success. But man, I was just thinking at one time, I couldn't believe how good Taylor Kelly was. TK10, the most underrated Arizona quarterback of all time. I mean, when you're passing it around to Marion Grice, DJ Foster, Jalen Strong, easy. I mean, oh my gosh. What was the tight end? Our last tight end that we used that was so dope. Number 87. Never always had bare hands. Oh, come on, man.
You're gonna make me have to look him up.
I know. You might have to, but the last tight end that we use, like, and then you have like Will Sutton on the back end, right? And Osahan Iribor. Oh man, those are some great teams. You're looking it up right now, aren't you?
I'm trying to.
The hell was that tight end's name? He was so good. I remember showing out against Washington one game. That was the Marion Grice catch and put the elbow in for a touchdown. Chris, C, starts with a C.
We had so many, but again, the one thing I'll tell you is, to me, bringing up Todd, he recruited so well compared to what we've seen out of this. For you guys to have cheated,
Chris Coyle,
for them to have cheated, not one recruiting class has touched a Todd's, to me.
Bro, they cheated and they didn't even get a top 30. They got like the number 38 recruiting class.
Like, dude, how did you cheat?
You couldn't even cheat right.
Right? Like, come on.
And here's my thing that I said about Todd Graham. Todd Graham was a defensive back coach, right? He was a DB. Same with Herm Edwards. They were our lousiest position groups in both of those eras.
Yep.
If you can't even coach and recruit the position that you're supposed to be skilled at the most, get out.
Because then at that point, you're not coaching. You're relying on your position coaches. That's why he went out and got, Pierce and Marvin
Gill and
yeah,
Austin Brenneman. Yeah.
And that right off the bat, because we're not like that. Arizona sports is not like that. We don't go after big names like that to fill in spots like that. So that alarmed me from the beginning. I'm like, why are we going after him? Why are we putting Marvin there? That's a little, don't you think that's a little loaded? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it was off. It caught me off guard anyways from the beginning with the way the coaching staff was built. It was kind of randomly weird. Thrown in together.
Yep.
Like, it didn't make sense.
And it almost worked.
It did. I think that, honestly, Herm, you were the reason why it didn't work. At the end of the day, how could all this stuff go on and you not know nothing? And you're the head of it.
All I'll say, I got one more question for you before we take off. We had a 2-hour-long mega pod tonight, and it's been a lot of fun. We've been able to relieve some stress and talk about some things that we've wanted to happen for a while. But look, anytime you put a University of Arizona graduate as a CEO of something, bad things are going to happen. Antonio Pierce, in charge of recruiting in the defense. Current Arizona Diamondbacks president, Derek Hall, U of A. Where did Bob Sarver go to school?
Bob?
Just saying. Bob went to U of A, bro.
But what didn't he go to high school out here too, didn't he?
He went to U of A. It didn't matter what high school. He went to U of A. He got that world-class education I hear so much about. Just like Derek Hall. Just like Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, he's born in Tucson.
So there you have it. ASU basketball. Are you excited about them at all? Have you dove in a little bit? Because this could be arguably the most talented group Bobby Hurley has had. I'm excited for Bobby fucking Hurley, man. Hold on, I gotta play his draft.
Don't start with me.
Bagley. We need you to stay healthy. And if you're gonna take time off, Bagley, take time off in the beginning of the season. Don't do it at the end of the season when we're trying to gain momentum to head into the tourney. That's all I gotta say about ASU basketball at the moment. I'm gonna wait another 2 to 3 weeks before I really start diving into getting excited to ASU basketball, because there's so much going on with ASU football, and there's been so much not to talk about with ASU football for the longest time. I'm gonna absorb this, Coach, I there's too much going on in football. I mean, dude, that comeback was just, come on. And
I know.
I don't know. Look, I got a dad and a brother that are diehard Raiders fans. And sitting there listening to them just poke. We were getting our butt whooped so bad in that first half. And I'm just like, hey, I'll be here for the whole game. I can't go nowhere. So. That happens.
My guy.
And then that happens, man. That's the worst comeback loss that the Raiders have ever given up in franchise
Raider
history.
baby.
And we own that. And we own that. That they hate us. They hate us. Their fan base hates us out here.
And Sonia can't wait for ASU softball. I love it. Yeah, they did lose their coach last year and their best pitcher, but I'm hopeful about them. Look, I want to touch ASU basketball again real quick outside of him. Bagley, I mean. DJ Horn coming back. DJ Horn turned out to be something pretty special last year. Luther Muhammad, redshirt senior. He should be able to do more things. Freshman Austin Nunez, electric, dynamic, lefty, 4-star out of Texas. He's going to do some things. They got the brothers, Desmond Cambridge, Devin Cambridge.
Brothers.
Dudes are stupid athletic.
They're going to be good together too.
They're going to be so good. Jemiah Neal, a sophomore, he did some actually pretty good things last year as a guard forward at 6'6". You got the point guard transfer Frankie Collins from Michigan.
Excited
right?
about that because we needed that.
You got Enoch Boachi coming back, who did some good things last year. Raw, for sure, very raw, but he's going to do some things. But then you pick up Gilbert, Arizona. I think he was a 4-star dude, 6'10", Duke Brennan, who looks like he is the most polished big man that we've had as a freshman. I'm talking about polished. His moves, everything. You can talk about
Hillcrest, man.
You can talk about Jacobson, Eric Jacobson, who I actually liked and I thought was underutilized. Even to Jalen Graham this past year, none of them were as polished as Duke Brennan. But on top of that, Jay Nes, they got UNLV transfer 7-footer Warren Washington. He's going to be able to do some things too. And then you still got a dude who I fell in love with last year, Alonzo Gaffney. I think
he
what
got
Alonzo
really good towards the end of the year.
Dude, Alonzo, I mean, I'm curious how lineups shake out. I want to see what Bobby Hurley does. I'm really excited about ASU basketball. In fact, I might even do post game for them because I believe in this team. I just don't know how it's all gonna, come together and whatnot. But I think BFH has a hell of a squad this year, bro.
He really does, and like I like the Washington transfer. Adding him to this team, putting that size down there is really. But again, this comes down to how healthy can we stay down the end of the stretch, because we always have good squads. We always start well. We're looking good. We're excited, and then boom, somebody has a wrist injury. Boom.
Or we get into conference play and we put up 28 points in a game.
Yeah, lose a stupid ass game. But I don't think that, that's one thing that Bob he has to get over. He has to get over this year. That's something
his Hurley ball mentality. Let one guy do whatever he wants on the floor, like he let Remy do for so many years.
And that was what I was gonna say too. Like, he let Remy either win. We either won or die by Remy. Period. He would have good games and he would shoot us in, and then he'd have horrible games, and Bobby would just let him shoot us out of the game.
And Remy didn't get picked up by any NBA team, so it's not like we're talking about some whatever type of talent that went to the NBA, right? I liked Remy. Don't get me wrong. I loved Remy for what he did, but congrats on getting a ship. You left us high and dry, which is all I really care about at the end of the day. But Bobby Hurley's got to get out of his way with that Hurley ball stuff. Just because that's what he did at Duke doesn't mean that's what other players can do. So I want to see a more structured offense as well as a free-flowing offense, but with rules inside of that offense.
And know when to scale it back.
Know when to scale it back. But their defense stepped up last year. That was the first time I saw their defense really step up. That's what I loved. That's what I loved about Bobby last year. Even with the team that wasn't as good. Yeah.
Because even our offense last year was more of a unit
for sure.
It has been ever.
It was Marion Jackson, who was supposed to be better than what he was. He just had a rough year point wise, right? Hopefully. But it was, you're 100% correct. It is more unity, but we can go 12 deep now. That's what all those dudes that I named. That was 12 players. DJ Horn, Lou Muhammad, Austin Nunez, Cambridge brothers, Jemiah Neal, Frankie Collins, Enoch, Warren Washington, Marcus Badley, Duke Brennan, Alonzo Gaffney. 12 dudes, man.
And out of those 12, 8 from here. See, ASU basketball does good recruiting from Arizona. It's just
Marcus
our football
Bagley,
team.
Duke Brennan. Yep.
It's our football. ASU basketball does good with recruiting from Arizona. We can get our football team in line with them. We do a little better.
When are we going to give a lifetime contract to Bobby Hurley and upgrade Wells Fargo Arena? You know, the basketball programs have been the most successful in the Pac-12 era, and they still have the worst playing surface, field, whatever. You can throw in wrestling in there, but they're going to be moving to the hockey arena now.
Bro, once ASU, once our fans start packing the arenas again, we can talk about getting something new.
So it goes back to Sun Devil Nation crying like little bitches and then not showing out.
Yeah, because
I'm calling them all out.
I don't know when the last time you went to an ASU basketball game, but
that would have been like 2012 or 13. I've gone to away games here when they're here in Utah, but I haven't been to a home game. No,
dude, it's sad. It's sad.
I've talked to people. I've also heard the flip side back in the day, or when we were going through the Shannon Evans and Trey Holder era, beating Kansas and whatnot, and from the James Harden era, and a couple of Jahi Carson games, that place could get wild. That's the thing.
It was one of the most packed stadiums, and that's why I'm saying it's about us. We want us to be this. We want us to be that. We want to be looked at as, one of the top recruiting classes. We were always looking for us to move up the board in every category, and we're always pissed that it doesn't happen, but we're never in the arenas. Like, dude, how the fuck do you win? The last year when we hit that damn half-court overtime shot to end the game, do you know how freaking many people were in that damn arena?
All 27 people were pissed.
I was there. That shit, dude. But the arena, there was no energy to even give. There was nobody there.
And there was no COVID restrictions at that point, right?
None. It was me, my brother.
Wild shot!
His friend, and then some random ASU students. That was like the whole fan base.
ASU fans need to show up, man. How can the student section be full for 20 straight years, but after the motherfuckers graduate, none of them go back to games? Obviously, there's a few that do. I'm not calling everybody out, but the fact that we can sell out for games that we want to and then don't show up is pathetic. You either support fully or you don't.
It's bad, man. No, it's pretty bad. But I mean, we've talked about it before. Just like I was saying with WNBA, at this point, if you're not getting people in the stands, start giving tickets away. Tickets away. Paint a mirage. Give the whole top section away for the next 3 weeks and paint a mirage that it's sold out.
Give them to school kids, man. Give them to school kids.
And they'll show up. They will show up. Give it to a group of 2 high schools. Go to some high schools and just pass out tickets. They're bored on the weekend. They will go. But you got to do something to create that atmosphere again. And ASU, the upper management, they have to understand that part of your recruiting is having a great atmosphere for these players to play in. And, part of the recruiting is recruiting players. So that way the fans want to come watch those players. It's a double-sided thing, and you got to get both going right now because we've been failing.
I'm glad that they made the move now because now we have, a head start searching for a coach. I don't think we're going to be going after the same coach like Nebraska would be. We're not going to be going after Prime. We're not going to be going after Urban Meyer.
We better not go after Urban Meyer.
We cannot. I don't want to deal with that type of stuff. I don't want a prima donna as a coach. That has a mouth and can say whatever he wants with the ESPN ties and all that. And I don't want somebody with Urban Meyer's ties coming in either. So it's going to be somebody you probably haven't heard of until you do some talks. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, do you trust Ray Anderson? I do not. But here's your shot at redemption. You get it, whether I like it or not. You get a shot at redemption, and you can do it right or you can screw it up. So we're gonna see with that. Unfortunately, I've got to jump out. It has been almost a 2.5 hour pod for me because there's so much going on with AZ Sports. I really want to thank Suns fan Randy from Stay Off My Grass podcast at the beginning of the hour. He came on. We spoke about the Sarver stuff. We really got to hand it out to Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge from ASAP Sports Network. He was awesome to have on. I've been wanting to collab with him for a while. One of the best at ASAP Sports. Check him out. And then finally, the AZ Sports guy, Matthew. Finally was able to talk some hockey with him, get some Coyotes in here. I'm excited about what they're going to do to the arena. Jay Nes, are you going to go to an ASU hockey game first or a Coyote hockey game first at ASU?
Man, I haven't been to an ASU hockey game, so I think I'm gonna go to an ASU hockey game. I think that'll do that first. I've been playing Coyote games, so I'm gonna go to the hockey game for ASU first.
There we go. There you heard it. Jay Nes, I want to thank you for coming along too. You gonna stick around just for a hot minute afterwards, or you got to dip out?
Yeah, I might dip out. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna dip out. It's a little late. Got these kids over here.
And it's almost midnight for me. That's why I got to leave too. But I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. Make sure you like, subscribe, share out, all that fun stuff. A lot has been going on. A lot more is going to be happening with this. I'm looking forward to the Suns making the trade. I'm looking forward to the Rams, the game coming up. Looking forward to ASU beating Utah on Saturday, by the way. Let's go.
We got to do that one.
Thanks for tuning in. He's on Fire podcast. Whoa. Back to the train. Here you go.
Urbanich sets. Looks up. And it is down strong. That's coming. Matthews. Palmer extending the play. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald.
If he scores, it's over.
It's insane. To the 4-yard line. Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down. He puts it down. They're getting a little wobbly. They're down for a shot.